Hey guys, welcome to the video, and today we'll be discussing how you can test your asynchronous functions in JavaScript by using the Jest framework. So to get started with things, first I'll create a new project and open it on VS Code. As you can see here, I've already installed the Jest library as a dev dependency. And next up what we'll do is we'll create a new JavaScript function which will be asynchronous. This function will be returning a promise, hence making it asynchronous, and then we'll see how we can invoke this function and also test it out by using the Jest framework. So here on VS Code, I'll create a new file by the name of users, and within this file, we'll be defining our asynchronous function, which will name getUserById. So the idea of this function is that we'll be passing the numerical ID as a parameter to this function. So let's say if we pass the ID 1, the function should return this particular object after a delay of 1 second. So let's go ahead and create this function. As we decided, we'll call the method getUserById. And since we are making this function asynchronous, we'll return a new promise object as a result of this function invocation. So we'll give the statement return new promise. So here all we're doing is we're returning a new promise object by invoking the promise class constructor. And as we know, the promise class constructor expects a executor function to be passed in as a parameter. This function has access to the resolve and reject callbacks, which can be invoked once the promise has completed or failed respectively. So we'll pass this executor function as a parameter. We'll type the name of the callbacks resolve and reject within parentheses. And within this executor function, we'll check if the user object with a given ID is present or not. So for that, we'll first of all pass an ID parameter to the getUserById function. And within the promise executor, we'll say that if a user with the provided ID is present within the user's object, then we can just simply call the resolve callback and return the particular object. So we'll resolve the promise with the object of the corresponding ID within the user's object. So we'll say resolve user's ID. And in the case where a user with the provided ID is not present, we'll reject the promise with a proper error message. So in the else case, we'll call the reject callback and pass a new error object with the message user not found. Since we also decided to have a delay of 1 second before resolving the result, what we'll do is we'll wrap the resolve statement within a setTimeout invocation. So within the if block, we'll call the setTimeout method and we'll give the delay as 1000 milliseconds or 1 second. Now within the callback function of the timeout, we'll cut and paste the resolve statement. And that's basically it. We have created a new getUserById method which is asynchronous. And if we hover over the name of the function, you'll see that this function is returning a promise, making it asynchronous. And since it's an asynchronous function, we will not be able to see the result returned by this function like we do with synchronous functions. So to test that out, let's call this function like a normal synchronous function. So we'll call the getUserById function and pass the ID 1. We'll store the returned response in a variable called result. And then we'll try to log the result variable in a console log statement. Let's run this script in the node environment. So on the terminal, I'll type in node users.js and hit on enter. And as you can see here, the result variable was storing a pending promise, hence proving that our function is asynchronous and it will not immediately return the result. Now to deal with such promises, you can either use the .then and .catch promise chaining methods, or you can also use the async await syntax. Let's try both of them out. So first, we'll chain the .then block to a function that returns a promise. Now the idea here is that if a promise is resolved, then we'll be able to access the resolved result within this .then block. Now here we can give any name to access the result. I'll just call it data. And then we'll try to console log this data object. Here we write the .then case to handle a successfully resolved promise, but in the case where a promise is rejected, we need to add a .catch block which catches any rejected promise. So here, if let's say the promise was rejected and an error was returned, I'll just log the error object. So let's run our user script again. On the terminal, I'll hit an enter. And as you can see, after a delay of 1 second, we were able to see the user object with ID 1. Similarly, let's try to fetch a user ID that doesn't exist. For example, the ID 5 does not exist, and if I invoke the promise with 5 as parameter, we'll get an error on the terminal. And if we just scroll a little bit up, you will see the message user not found. So this is one way in which you can handle a promise. We'll also test out the second way, which is using the async await syntax. And to do that, we'll have to create a new method. So I'll name the method invoke. And since this method will be calling an asynchronous function getUserById, I have to add the async keyword before the actual function definition. So here within the invoke function, we'll invoke the getUserById method and pass some ID to it, for example 1. And all we have to do is add the await keyword in front of the function call and then store the resolved result in a variable. So here I'll call the variable result and then simply log out the result. We'll comment out the previously written code handling the asynchronous function by using a .then block, and we'll simply just call the invoke function. The async await syntax is just syntactic sugar for the .then block, and it's a little easier to write. So a lot of people actually prefer using the async await syntax. But all we're doing here is until this particular function successfully resolves, the function execution will wait, and only once a response has been returned, we'll store that response in the result variable and simply log out that result variable. So let's test out this snippet. We'll call our user script again. And as you can see, after 1 second, we're seeing the user object with ID 1. So far, we were able to successfully create an asynchronous function and see how it can be invoked. Now let's move on to the testing part. And the last bit was important because we will be invoking the function by either of the two methods, even within our tests. So let's go ahead and write a unit tests for this particular getUserById function. I'll create a new file. I'll call it users.test.js and we'll import the getUserById function by using the require statement. Now let's go back to our users.js file. Here we'll comment out all of our invocation code and define getUserById as a default export. So we'll type in module.exports is equal to getUserById. Now the function is being exported and successfully imported within the test file. Let's go ahead and write our very first test. So we'll use the test method to write our test. It takes in two parameters, first being the description of the test and the second being the body of the test. So here we'll give the description as that getUserById can work with the promise handling syntax. Here within the body of the test, as we have learned, we'll structure our test into 3 stages: arrange, act and assert. So here we'll add the comments for these 3 sections. In the arrange section, we'll mention the ID that we'll be passing as a parameter to the function getUserById. So I'll just let the ID be 1. And let's also store the object corresponding to the ID 1. So here I'll create a user object with the same keys and values. Now moving on to the act stage, we are now supposed to invoke the getUserById function. But the way we test asynchronous code, the act and assert stages are actually merged. So we'll merge the act and assert stage into a single stage, and here we'll return the getUserById promise. So we'll call the function, pass the parameter which we are storing under the ID variable, and just as we wrote a .then block while handling the promise, so we'll add a .then block which has access to the resolved data. Now over this resolved data, we can call our assertions. So for example, the assertion can be that we expect the data's name property to be equal to mark, which is currently stored under the name property of the user object. So we'll simply say that we expect data.name to be equal to user.name. Similarly, we can test out the other property that should be returned. So we'll write that we expect the age property of the data object to be equal to age property of the user object mentioned here. Now since we have written two assertions within our .then block, we also need to add the expect dot assertions call before returning the promise. So we'll say that we are expecting two assertions from this particular test and we'll save our changes. Let's go ahead and test out this particular unit test. So on the terminal, I'll type npm run test. Now if we go to the package.json file, you'll see that the test script is just invoking jest. So if I type npm run test, it will just call the jest command. So I'll hit on enter and you'll see that test has been initialized. And after 1.6 seconds, you can see that our test has passed. So our two assertions here are actually true. Now you can also test your asynchronous functions in the async await syntax, and for that I'll create a new unit test. I'll just copy the unit test we wrote before, but instead of saying that get user by id can work with the promise handling syntax, we can say that it will work with the async await syntax. Now the arrange step here will be the same, but instead of writing our assertions within the .then block, we'll simply take them out and completely remove the .then block. And instead of returning the promise from the test body, we will add the await keyword in front of it and store the result in a variable called data. Now since we are calling the await keyword, we also need to make the test callback function asynchronous. So we'll add the async keyword here on top, save our changes, call the jest framework, run our tests again, and this time both of the tests should be passing. So as you can see here, after 2.5 seconds, both of our unit tests here have passed. So I hope this video helped you in understanding how you can write asynchronous functions, how you can invoke them, and then use the same invocation methodologies to test them using the jest framework. In our next video in the unit testing series, we'll discuss how you can mock the behavior of functions, including asynchronous functions, because real world functions are dependent on other functions too. And we need to figure out a way to mock the behavior of those secondary functions to test out our primary function. So I'll see you guys in the next video.